Who's right? The dog, the pigeon, or the human? Today's podcast episode is all about the sneaky illusion of our human perception, why this matters so much for our subconscious programming, and how it shapes our reality and what we believe to be true about today. So let's dive straight into completely unblocking, unpopping, and getting rid of this idea that we see reality for what it is and understanding that there is so much more of a limitless reality than we could ever understand. All right, when we talk about who's right, the dog, the human, or the pigeon, there's this concept that oftentimes we think that humans see the world the way it really is. So when we have our five senses, we can pick up on certain information from the world that, a tree is green and brown, for example, and the sky is blue, and this house is beige, right? And we think that we see things for what they really are, that is this reality, this objective reality that exists out there. However, when you think about a dog, most people do know the fact that most dogs have some kind of color blindness, meaning that they don't see the same colors that a human does. So to them, the grass isn't green, to them the grass is beige, right? To them, the sky isn't blue, it might be gray. So we kind of have this understanding that dogs might have a more limited perception than humans. And I think a lot of people think of this and just think of it as, well, humans are right and the dogs are wrong. The dogs are the ones that just don't have accurate, sense to be able to glean what the actual colors are, right? They're colorblind. I'm seeing it the right way, the dog's seeing it the wrong way. But let me throw in something into the mix now. What about a pigeon? So a pigeon is actually able to see more colors than a human. Like, what is that? What are these colors even? I can't even wrap my mind around what a pigeon is seeing that I'm not able to see, right? And so who's right there? Is it the pigeon or me? If the pigeon can see more colors, maybe the pigeon's right and I'm colorblind in some way. Kind of weird, right? Now, this little fact can be applied to so many other areas of our lives. So anything that a human senses and understands about their reality comes from our five senses. And this is what NLP and mindset coaching really teaches, as well as science and quantum theory. So our world is based on what our five senses can perceive. So if you can touch it, if you can smell it, if you can hear it, if you can see it, then we perceive it, right? However, again, we might not be perceiving it the right way, because even in the sense of color isn't something that objectively exists out in reality. It's something that happens when light hits a certain thing and then reflects into the rods in our eyes, and then our brain makes the color up, right? Isn't that fascinating? But think of the things that humans can't see. Scientists say that around 96% of our universe is something that the human cannot sense. It exists, it's out there, it's not empty space, but we can't perceive it. There's no way that our human senses can perceive it. So think, for example, like radio waves. Any kind of electromagnetic frequency or waves. It exists, it's real, it's matter, it affects the world, it does stuff. We can't see it. I can't see a radio wave being transmitted. I can't see an AM or PM, FM radio, being transmitted, but yet here the music comes on to my radio when I turn my car on. So this is something that exists in matter, and yet again, my five senses cannot perceive it. So in my objective reality, I don't think it exists, but what I really need to understand is everything that I perceive is actually subjective. It is an illusion. Add this to this fact as well. Not only are we perceiving what our brain thinks is out there, not what the real world is actually out there, not only were we not able to perceive most of the world, but also we are constantly distorting what we are actually perceiving as well. So when it comes to all of the information that can come into our brain at any one point, our brain receives 11 million bits of information in just 1 second. So that means that all the different colors are coming to us, all the different textures, all the shapes. I'm speaking here, my butt's on this chair, I can feel my feet on the floor. All of this stuff is coming in. Now, it's coming into my subconscious mind because consciously, while 11 million bits of information are coming in, I can only focus on 50 bits of information at one time, right? So all that other million bits of information gets completely distorted in my mind. It gets deleted immediately. I just don't even pick it up maybe. Or it gets generalized, where I lop it in and think it's like something else I've already experienced. And that's where a lot of bias is coming in, is that as a shortcut, our brain will just think that, okay, this is like that other thing that I've experienced in my life, so I'm just going to file it away over here without actually thinking about it. This is also where that experience comes from, where you don't really notice new things sometimes because you all of a sudden file it away as something that's not important. Maybe you deleted it. So for example, I have this incredible story to share with you, just a little anecdote, but I remember when a few months ago, my husband and I were we were shopping for a new couch. We wanted a new couch that had, what are they called? Like, not a pull-out couch, but like a lounge couch where you could like put your feet up and stuff like that. And I was like really looking into all these websites for couches. We were going to different stores for couches. And I go to my sister's house and she has one of those couches. And I'm like, when did you get that? Like, that's kind of what we're looking for. Obviously, maybe a different style, but like, I didn't know you had that couch. I thought you had this like old brown couch from a long time ago. And she's like, I've had that for over a year. And I'm like, what? Like, I've been to my sister's house so many times in the last year and I just didn't even notice that she had a new couch. And what's really, really funny is that her daughter was born in 2023. And there's photos of me holding her newborn daughter, like really special sacred moment when your auntie meets like your niece for the first time and you're holding the baby for the first time. And what am I sitting on? The new couch, right? And my brain didn't pick it up because in that moment, the baby was more important. Meeting my niece was more important. What does the couch doesn't matter to me. It's just periphery information on the background, right? It wasn't until I started looking for a couch myself that all of a sudden that information became important to me. So that's just a silly example, right? We do this all the time with cars. We do this all the time with different things we hear about on the internet. Like maybe you've heard of how saunas are good for you, but you don't actually pay attention to that information until all of a sudden you're like, I want to detox. I want to sweat more. I want to like actually invest in a sauna or something like that. So we're doing this all the time. We're taking in all this information and our brain is storing it in some way, one way or another, but our conscious mind isn't able to pick it up. And what ends up happening is that we get a distorted view of reality as well. So reality is not what we think it is. I would even argue there really is no objective reality out there, and that everything we create is a subjective reality that is an illusion. So add this to the fact that, when we look at science, I am obsessed with quantum physics. I'm obsessed with all theoretical and physics because when I was in college, I really started asking myself these kind of weird questions of like, is time travel possible? Or like, can you go backwards in time? Or what happens in space? And I just got really into like astrophysics basically. And I got so into it that I thought I would maybe even switch my major into it. And then I realized how much math was involved and I was like, nah, I'm okay. I'll just read the books on the side. But I started reading books by like Michio Kaku. I started reading books by Brian Greene. These are the foremost like quantum and or astrophysicists we have. I started reading Hawking's books as well, just as many books as I could get my hands on at that time to understand like what the quantum theory and what the physics was telling us of that day. And it was really, really fascinating for me because most of these books would start off with explaining how we've arrived where we are today. And what happened is that as we, developed the theories and the math and the sciences of physics, it really kind of was firmly planted in the Newtonian physics, which meant like Newtonian physics was everything that you could feel and measure. And it was really Cartesian, where you could plot things on graphs and you could, determine if you threw a ball with this kind of velocity, where would it end up? And it was just all about this precision, and everything is just this decimal point that is just so mathematically perfect, right? And that physics works pretty well for a lot of different phenomenon on our planet. But what happened as we started to get into, Einstein's theory of relativity and then quantum theory is that we discovered that the physics breaks down at the really big scale and the really, really small scale. It just doesn't work. And the thing is, when it comes to these kind of theories in math, it's supposed to work all the time. It's not supposed to break down in these other instances. And so when we go into the theory of relativity, Einstein found that there is not like a space out there that's just empty. it's a space-time continuum, and it's kind of like this jello that gets moved around based on how much of a pull other bodies have on it, right? So it's like our planet has a gravitational pull and these other things, and it's not just the gravity, it's actually the space-time continuum. It's basically like a blanket where you put like a marble on it. It's going to like make a dent into the blanket, and that is really fascinating. And he has other, theories of relativity about like how you can go, if you go faster than the speed of time, like what that creates with how time slows down basically, and all those kinds of cool things. And then they also found that the physics, that Newtonian physics, completely breaks down at the small level as well. So when you get into the quantum, when you get into the atom and you start breaking it down into like the different quarks and all that kind of stuff, the little parts of the atom, we can't accurately use those physics either. And this new quantum theory comes up. And the quantum theory is kind of crazy. And it is the most proven, the most reliable, the most like accurate scientific understanding we have of the world today. And some of the stuff it proves is spooky as hell. It proves, for example, that electrons are connected. That even when you put electrons on one side of the universe to the other side of the universe, they will mirror each other. And the mirroring happens faster than the speed of light. So they're not communicating by some kind of radio wave or something like that. When you have these two atoms on the other, or these two electrons on the other side of like the universe or a big space and something like that, one will do the same thing that the other one will, meaning that they're actually connected at its core. They've also found that nothing is really made out of matter. That everything is actually just energy, that when you keep breaking down the atom, it just is energy vortexes, and it's just this spinning whirl of energy, meaning that there isn't actually any hard matter out there. And one of the reasons why we perceive matter while I hit my desk and my hand stops is because there's a natural repellent between atoms that's kind of like a magnetism, and that's actually what we feel as matter. There's actually no such thing as a true matter. It's not like all these blocks of matter coming together to form Legos. It's all energy. It's all energy vortexes. And so everything is energy and everything is connected, which they found through quantum theory. There's also some really cool things that they've studied around what they call the particle and wave collapse, which means that a particle will behave as a wave when no one's watching it. So like something switches from matter to a wave basically when no one's watching it, and then when you watch it, it turns back into a particle, which kind of started developing these theories in manifestation that we actually, out of our consciousness, create reality. That we take waves of potentiality, waves of anything being anything, and through our direct consciousness and our direct focus, we create a solid reality out of that, a solid particle, a solid route forward, which again is just so spooky. They've also found that, for example, to really understand the universe and all the theories of how everything works, there's probably more dimensions out there than we can see. So we see 3 dimensions, right? Like length, width, depth, and then you could add time into that, maybe the 4th dimension that we can kind of understand. The human brain cannot understand anything more than that. But the leading, quantum theorists and string theorists are actually supporting that there might be 11 dimensions out there. There might be 12 dimensions out there, and there's probably multiple universes out there. There's probably multiple verses where like every reality that could ever possibly be exists. And if you've seen that show Dark Matter on Apple, it kind of illustrates that idea that like there might be multiverses out there where everything that could ever possibly happen is happening just in a different multiverse. This isn't science fiction, you guys. This is like the leading theory of what's actually up and cutting and what actually describes our universe and our planet. This is what scientists out there believe. Now, why does it matter for you? Why does all this matter for you? First of all, I think we need to understand that what we perceive is an illusion. And why this matters for you is that when you have a limiting belief, when you think that you are not good enough or smart enough to do something, you are dealing with complete limited information. You do not know the whole reality, and you can never actually truthfully say that. You don't know enough to be able to say that. When you have a limiting belief to say this isn't possible for me, or I'm not like able to do that, or my business will never cross this amount, or I could never be successful, whatever your limiting story is, it is a falsehood. It is a lie you're telling yourself. It is no grounding in any truth whatsoever. Your brain is not capable of understanding the truth. And I think that's a really cool reframe, because it just all means that like everything that we believe is that's negative and damning about ourselves, all the like negative like worries and superstitions and fears we have, they're all an illusion. And we choose to believe them often because they actually make us feel better in the moment for not taking action. And the thing too is, you think about it, like, I've worked with so many people to help them change their relationship with alcohol. No one is born on this planet and is like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with alcohol and I want to drink. That is not something that is a natural way that humans are born. We are conditioned into liking and then drinking alcohol. That is a process, a societal process where we warm up our brain, we inject in all these references on why drinking is important and glamorous and it's gonna, make you belong and be accepted and all these things, and then we throw in all of our experiences with drinking on top of that, and that's what really forms the desire to drink. It is not something innate in us. If we lived in a different planet where alcohol didn't exist, nobody would have the desire to drink alcohol. And so it's just one of those things too that sometimes someone can feel so stuck with, but really it's just a trick of the brain. Everything that is a limiting belief, a limiting pattern, a limiting behavior is just a trick of the brain, and just as it was planted in the brain, as it isn't a natural occurrence of reality, it is just an illusion. It could just as easily be plucked out. I also get really lit up by this idea that really anything is possible. Because again, our human brain can't perceive like what true possibility looks like, and when you go to see some of the craziest inventions in our world, like, do you think before the Wright brothers invented flight that anyone believed that humans could fly in some weird machine? Of course not. And there were probably so many naysayers back then who were like, you guys are stupid, you're gonna die, you look like stupid birds, what are you doing, right? And it wasn't like without that level of like, just, I'm not going to believe in the illusion of the naysayers. I'm going to believe in trying something new. I'm going to believe in hope. I'm going to pop the illusion of this like world where we think we know everything. We don't know shit, right? Like, as humans, we actually, the more we understand quantum theory, the more we understand how the universe really works, we don't know anything, and our senses are not portraying the true reality to us. Like, a human cannot see true reality. It can't even see as many colors as a pigeon can. And hopefully we all think we're a little smarter than a pigeon, right? And so it comes just to anything in your life. When you think, for example, something is so static, when you think your fear or your limiting belief is so static, or your negative habits are so static, they're not. They're truly not. Like, neuroplasticity shows that you can change sustainably forever. You could forever be a different person. You could forever see the world in a different way. You could forever like have a different mindset if you're just willing to make those changes and to pluck out those old beliefs and pluck in some new, way more helpful ones. I also like to think about this with money. Like, we have such a weird, constrained view of money as a society because of the way we're conditioned and the way we grow up about it. We think it's this like static thing that we just have to hoard, right? Like, let me just get some money and put it over here in this bucket and like this thing. And in reality, most of us have money in bank accounts that actually doesn't exist in the world. Like, there is, if a bank today, if you went to your bank and everyone went to that bank in your city and said, please give me all the money in my accounts, the bank wouldn't have enough money for that. No other banks around there would. There isn't enough money in the world that actually supports the electronic number that's in our bank accounts. Money isn't actually real. It's a number that exists in computers, right? And oftentimes we have such this weird attachment to it, and we think in terms of scarcity. For example, when you invest in the stock market, one of the reasons that you invest in the stock market is that you get a good return, hopefully, right? A better return than just a savings account. But how the stock market works is that every year it is hopeful that more value will be created in the year, more sales, the more the economy will grow year after year after year. So it's not like this pie where there's only a certain amount that you can have one year and a certain amount you can have other year. The whole point of the stock market is that the pie keeps growing year after year after year after year after year. And it's done so since the freaking 1920s, right? The pie has kept growing. Obviously, some years have big crashes and some years have big dips and stuff like that. But in theory, the return you get in a stock market means that value and money and economy keeps growing and growing and growing. So when we think of this idea that, money is limited, I can't make very much money, I don't know how to make money, like I'm stuck with the salary that this employer gave me, my business is stuck at this certain level, we are not seeing reality for what it really is. Money is actually limitless. Every year we create more and more value and sell more and more things. Your possibility with changing your relationship with money is so big. And actually I was talking to this with my husband because his father was asking a little bit about this question, and we recommended him this book that I definitely recommend for you too if this is something you're interested in. It's called The Illusion of Money. It's by a comedian. It's a really funny, good book, but it's really kind of popping this idea, this attachment we have to money, and then also the scarcity that we have around it. And I love this conversation so much. I could geek about this so much because when I see this in my clients, when I see anyone operating under a limiting belief, or especially when someone tells me something isn't possible, like, we don't know that. What are you, like a scientist who studied this from every which way and you know every answer in the world? Of course not. You know what I mean? Of course, it's a limited perspective that you're seeing. We don't know what's possible. Like, to be someone who's negative and a naysayer, or saying to your clients, no, that's not very possible, or I don't think that's likely, or that's like really hard. You don't know. You don't know. And there's so many things that prove that as well. For example, again, we used to think that nobody could run faster than a 4-minute mile, that it was like actually physically impossible until Roger Bannister broke that in the 50s. And now high schoolers can run that fast easily, right? Like, the limits that we put on ourselves are the illusion. The limitless possibility that truly exists out there of who you could be, what you could do, what kind of identity you could expand into, what kind of freedom life you could live, like what truly is available to us, how we're all probably mystically connected and are much more closer to each other than we think than separate humans. Like, all of that is the real. That is what the science proves to the real. And I love reading these kind of books that kind of help you change your view of reality, because it's really easy to get stuck and sucked back in to the dominant mainstream frame of mind that is so negativity based, it's so scarcity based, it doesn't think most things are possible, it thinks many things are rigid and locked down and the world is going to hell and all these kinds of things. And that doesn't make us feel good. That doesn't make us feel like we can change anything. That doesn't make us feel like it's even worth trying, you know? And so the next time you find yourself kind of doubting yourself on something, doubting whether or not something's going to work, doubting whether or not this initiative is going to take off, or your business will take off, or a dream you want will take off, just remember that your ability to perceive reality is so skewed. All of our humans are. We don't know jack shit, and the world is way more magical than we give it credit to. The world is way more magical than what we learn about in school. And this isn't coming from a spiritual lesson from a guru. This is coming from science itself, right? Give your dreams a chance. Like, give your positive belief a chance. Like, step into a version of yourself that is delusional. Like, escape the modern world of what we believe is and live in your own delusion, because really there's nothing different than that. You might as well believe positive beliefs about yourself. You might as well believe that your dreams are going to come true. You might as well believe that every action you take is taking you one step closer to what you really, really want. Because the other beliefs, the opposite beliefs, they are just a lie. You cannot perceive the truth. It is not available to humans, so you might as well believe the things that are going to make this reality so much more possible for you. If this was interesting to you, this is some of the stuff we teach in the certification program. We go really deep into the quantum theories. We go deep into the human potential movement, which is really about this idea that, like, if one person can do something, it already proves that a human is capable of it, and that we can all model that and go after that as well. There's a lot of really cool research in that theory as well, and that body of work. We go deep into the science of manifestation. We go deep into how our subconscious is programmed as well, and why everybody has more of a negativity bias and usually doesn't make changes in their life because of how we are programmed and how our subconscious is formed. And so just understanding that, understanding where our limiting beliefs come from, where our fears come from, where our doubts come from, what are really typical patterns that happen when you want to grow, right? Like, you're going to hit your upper limit. You're going to expand your nervous system to a point that it is not used to. It is going to want to go back to your comfort zone. And actually understanding that from the get-go and being able to coach people through that, coach people through not only helping them change their desires to drink to, like, lose the desire to drink, because again, it's just a subconscious false junk belief in their mind that you can just as easily pluck out as it was put in there over time. You can pluck it out. And helping people really understand what their deepest desires are so that they can live into their purpose and they can feel truly fulfilled and satisfied with life, I think is just such important work in the world. We need more of this in the world. We have a world, again, that is too much seeped into so much negativity, so much polarity, so much like fighting. I want to see that change. And I don't think it's going to happen by some big, huge guru or movement or something like that. I think it's grassroots. I think like each one of us is responsible for helping change our communities, and stepping into the role of a coach is one of the most incredible ways to do that. And knowing that you're getting the best training in the world of learning how to help someone eradicate limiting beliefs, knowing how to change the subconscious mind, know how to reprogram the mind towards this sense of possibility, towards this sense of success, towards like a person who really can achieve anything, that is like precious. That is what I wish is taught in all schools. I truly do. I always joke with my husband that like if this business changes, or if some reason we just want to like sell this business and do something different, I want to do like school curriculums and start teaching this kind of stuff to kids and sell it to, you know, homeschool groups or whatnot. Because I think this is the most valuable information that anyone can learn. And like, while yes, it's kind of like maybe interesting to learn some algebra and stuff when you're in school, like I know for a fact that if my kid, it would be missing this information like I was, it would lead to way more years of despair, apathy, unfulfillment, feeling lost, feeling isolated. Like this is just some of the most important work in the world. Learning it yourself is really, really key, and then being able to help other people understand it and then work through their different expansion levels and evolution levels, I think is so important too. And, you know, we do throw in some really advanced modalities as well into the certification that come from NLP and hypnosis and stuff like that. So we teach emotional freedom technique, which is the tapping, and just some really cool somatic practices as well that you can incorporate both into your life and into a coaching business if you wanted to grow and or launch a business. Our 5X certification program is only open twice a year, and it closes after that. We do not open it again. We sell out every single time. Every single time. It always surprises me. I'm just so elated to get the most incredible people on the planet into the certification program, because it is the only alcohol-free coaching designation that also certifies you as a mindset coach, certifies you as an alcohol-free life coach, certifies you as a success coach, certifies you as an NLP practitioner, and certifies you as a hypnosis practitioner. Plus, it's one of the only ones that's triple accredited, including being internationally recognized by the ICF and getting ICF approved hours for you, as well as including an in-person retreat. So I don't know of any other certification on the planet that actually includes a retreat. I know how important live, immersive, in-person experiences are. You walk home a different person. I'm actually next week going to Palm Springs. I think this episode will air after that, but I'm going to Palm Springs to lead our fall classes retreat. It is something I'm so excited for. Like, there's so many breakthroughs that happen, so many friendships that are formed. You come home a different person. You are on fire in a different way. You like shed one identity and step into a brand new one just in a matter of hours in an in-person experience. So I knew I had to include that. So an all expensive paid and inclusive retreat is part of the certification program, as well as the business mastermind, because there's too many certification programs out there that do not teach any business, or like maybe they teach you how to set up a website and that's it. I think that's appalling, because you can learn all the psychology, all the subconscious belief change, and if you don't know how to sell your business online, you are not going to change anyone's life. And so it is just as important to me. It is the only program I know of that actually spends half the time of the certification training you in the business foundations in order to grow an audience, in order to get your first clients, in order to start filling up your groups, in order to do really epic launches and start even getting to the point of hosting retreats and writing a book and, you know, using ads to your advantage, Pinterest. We cover it all. I have the most amazing guest speakers that come into the program as well to teach their business training methodologies. Like, these people are such gold. Their classes alone would be worth like multiple thousands of dollars, but we get them in because some of them are my friends, and it's just a cool thing to be able to share like that back with you. And our next round starts April 2nd. And that will be it for the first half of the year. We won't open again until later in the year. And so if you are interested in being a coach now, if you want to deepen your coaching skills, if you want to really understand some of the things that I shared to you today and be able to help your clients through that at a really deep, deep level, that subconscious level, that understanding of how reality really works and how you can make such epic changes in the brain. If you want to also add the alcohol-free designation, I know so many people who have worked through our programs like that. So they're already a health coach, or they're already a burnout coach, or they're already a menopause coach, or they're already a habits coach, or even a career or business coach. but they really see that the alcohol-free part is so important in their work. Like, they want to be able to help their clients change their relationship with alcohol, take a break, drink less, so that the other outcomes of what they're doing are so much more effective. I think that's a really, really smart thing to do. The number of people who are sober curious on this planet just grows more and more every single year. We keep getting more and more evidence that there's zero amount of alcohol that's good for you, which means more and more people are getting conscious and wanting to change that habit. It is one of those habits that you get when you're young and you keep it for life. So it's not an easy habit to change. More and more people need that guidance and need the ability to change their subconscious beliefs around alcohol in order to actually like feel free of it, to not feel controlled by it, and to feel that they're in charge of their own decisions, whether it's to get healthier, to be a better role model for their kids, or to live a more empowering life in their careers and in their professions. So our round, like I said, starts in spring, April 2nd. To join the program, you have to be accepted. So we do vet everyone who joins so that we make sure we have a very high vibe, growth-minded group. That is really important for me for the experience, so that you are literally joining a network of people who are going to be your best friends and your entrepreneurship peers for the rest of your life. And so we do go through a vetting process. So we do require an application to submit. It asks a few questions about your business vision. It's a really good time to sit down and think about what you want, right? And just answer as honestly as you can. And then you and I hop on an interview. And so this is a really cool time for me to get to know you, you to get to know me, and for me to understand what your goals are and your vision is. And I do a little bit of coaching too, because I love to help people figure out their brands. And I can usually have this like way of just seeing what your innate gifts are and what your passions are and what your experiences are, and just mashing it together in this beautiful brand that's like so compelling and so standalone that it doesn't like blend in with anything else. And then if you're a good fit for the program, I will invite you into the program. And if you're not a good fit for the program, I will give you some other recommendations. And then if you do get accepted, you will reserve your spot and start with us. We do have some pre-work to do as well before we start April 2nd. So the earlier you join, the better. And so I am open for interviews. I cannot wait to hear you. We are selling out pretty quickly as well. The class is filling up really amazingly. We have some incredible powerhouse women in the certification so far. Like I said, it sells out every single time, so I wouldn't wait on this. Like, do not wait another 6 months, another year, another 2 years to start a business. If you were listening to last week's episode about what the difference between a wannabe entrepreneur is and a successful one, it is people who actually make the big move and put some skin in the game are the ones who instantly transport into the successful territory, because they reach that point of no return. This is a big move, and I really wish this is the program I had when I first got started, because what's really important when you first get started is not to cobble together a million different free strategies from the internet where you have really no idea what you're doing. It's to get the coaching methodologies down. You want to feel really confident that you can make massive transformations for your clients. And then after that, it's to get the business foundations down, get the marketing principles down, and then get the strategies down bit by bit of every single element of your business, almost like you're following step by step by step by step. You will never regret that. You will truly never regret that. And I think I wasted a lot of time at the beginning just trying to figure some things out on my own, and my business was not really taking off and not going anywhere. And it wasn't until I got this training that I popped off to 6 figures and beyond, and have just been growing ever since then. So I would love to meet you on an interview call. I think that would be an incredible experience for both of us. I can't wait to hear from you and learn more about you. I think it's so special how the universe already connected us in this way. I think that listening to someone's dreams is the most sacred thing you could ever do, and I love that. Like, I literally get teary-eyed sometimes on these calls, because it's just, there's so much potential, there's so much vision, there's so much beautiful heart in them, and I can't wait to hear that from you. And if there's that little sneaky voice that's saying, who am I to do this, or I'm an imposter, or I don't know enough, it's a lie. It's a lie, because your human consciousness is not able to truly tell you the truth of that. It is just preconditioned in a way that oftentimes our brain tries to prevent us from facing any failure or fear. It is a defense mechanism, but it's not who you are, and it's not who you're meant to be in this planet. You are meant to rise above your fears, I promise you. Again, I think the certification, we have such incredible testimonials, such incredible wins, people signing clients, people getting top celebrities on their podcast, people getting invited to write book deals, people getting asked to speak on stages, people collaborating on top podcasts. It is phenomenal what happened, high ticket sales happening, all that good stuff. But it is a testament to how much goes into the coaching methodologies to make you the best coach you can be. And it's a testament to the foundational business trainings that cover everything you need to know in your first 2 years of growing a coaching business, which I think is so important to actually understand and get from other successful business owners that have come before you. The international recognitions and the accreditations obviously are some things that really don't hurt to really just go show this is a properly vetted program. There's a lot of coaching programs, unfortunately, out there that are like, they're PDFs sometimes. You unlock something and it's a PDF and you think that this is supposed to make you a coach. That is not going to make you competent and want to move forward. So I can't wait to speak to you. I hope this episode was helpful. Let me know in the DMs what stood out for you, if there's any snippet or factoid that you really liked there. These are the things I love collecting. I love to imagine reality is so different than what I can perceive. And I know I believe that fundamentally, and that's also really helped me manifest some incredible things into my life because I don't believe in the 3D reality. I see things bigger than that. And that can really, really help your manifestation game as well.